Why, yes, I believe we shall.
Oh, I got a live one here.
Live from Little Rock, it's Shane Plays Radio, Geek Talk Radio, a journey into the things we love. I'm your host, Shane Stacks. Thanks so much for listening, whether you're listening live over the air on 96.5 FM The Answer or online at 96.5 FM The Answer.com, or if you're listening by podcast or a week delayed on Krypton Radio. I'm so glad you're here. We got a cool show today, as always. Today, it's been out long enough. The kid gloves are off. It's time to talk Rogue One. Spoilers be darned. We're going to go deep. I'm joined by recurring guests and friends, comedian Michael Brown of Brain Trust with Michael Brown.
Oh, hi.
Hello, Michael. And who has a slight cold.
A little bit.
Yeah. So I was hoping that the drugs he was on would make him even funnier, which is hard to do because he's a pretty funny guy.
Yeah.
But he said he prefers the drugs that just knock you out.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and you told me yesterday you had a roast going. Is your roast roasting?
Dude, it is going. We just took it. My wife took a picture of it when I was driving on the way here, actually.
Yeah.
So check out the Facebook.
Yeah.
Right. Our culinary prowess
good?
is something to be beholden.
All right. A roast for New Year's Eve. And then, of course, joined by Steve Chenault, the Troll Lord himself.
How's it going?
Lord. Hey, man. Glad to have you. Troll Lord Games is a sponsor of the show, but Steve's also an incredibly cool dude in his own right, and I love dropping by over there and talking to everybody.
We love your visits.
Yeah, man. Appreciate you guys sponsoring the show and everything. I'll let both of you guys promote anything you have going on here in a second. Let me go through my housekeeping notes. And again, we're going to be talking Rogue One today. So feel free to call in 501-823-0965 with your thoughts on the very first standalone Star Wars movie. It's 501-823-0965, or you can tweet me at Shane Plays. That's ShanePlays. And don't forget, I always have the show notes for each show up at the website at shaneplays.com, ShanePlays.com. So you can go there, and there's going to be a few news items that we referenced today regarding Rogue One. And you can find those if you want. So the show does go out. It is first and foremost talk radio. It's Geek Talk Radio live. But it also goes out as a podcast. And you can find previous week's shows archived on shaneplays.com. I think the most recent show that I have archived is with Dave Oshry, where we were talking about the Dusk first-person shooter. And Dave was a nut. You've got to go listen to that show if you didn't already. And, of course, we got on traditional podcasts, and it goes the blog, iTunes, Google Play Music, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, and more. Other fine podcast directories. And then, last but not least, Shane Plays is carried on Krypton Radio. Krypton Radio is sci-fi for your Wi-Fi, kryptonradio.com. And we run a week delayed on Saturdays and Mondays at 11 p.m. Pacific, or 11 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Central on Krypton Radio. So, going to throw out a little bit of love on some sponsors, and then I'm going to let my guests promote anything they've got going on. They've always got stuff going on. I would be shocked if Troll Lord didn't have some kind of Kickstarter going on.
We
right
actually
now.
don't.
What?
We've got a couple coming.
You got a sale, though, right?
Well, I think we closed our Christmas sales, and our New Year's Eve sales are all done now.
Okay, well, we'll talk about what's coming.
Yeah,
then.
we're wrapping the year up.
All right, we'll get to that here in a second. We'll talk about Shane Plays sponsor, Game Goblins. They have a board game swap going on today. So people could take their in good shape board games to Game Goblins and put them on consignment there. And then I think all day long up till they close tonight, you can go by and get great deals on either unopened or used games that are still in very good shape and have all their stuff.
Gently
used. Even more gentle than gently.
Yes.
Yeah, very good. So go over to Game Goblins, and then Collector's Edition / the comic book store. They've got a sale going on through January 7th where it's like 25% off graphic novels, back issues, and I think action figures. And that's through January 7th. And then on January 7th, you can go in and they'll have coupons printed out you can just grab one off the counter. You get 50% off any one thing in the store. I guess they do that every year. So on January 7th, you can go in to Collector's Edition or the comic book store, 50% off any one thing that you want. That's a pretty good deal.
That's a pretty good deal.
Yeah, that's a great deal. So, all right. Michael, what's going on in the world of Michael Brown?
All right. Well, first of all, since we talked about the collector's edition, this is off the dome here. Since we talked about collector's edition and comic book store,
are you doing a show there?
No, we're not doing a show there. There's not really enough room because he's got the place so jam packed full of awesome
stuff.
Yeah. But if you're going to go by there and take advantage of the sales, go ahead and request a copy of The Gecko.
The Gecko.
That is my comic book that I published 16 years ago. But my partner on that comic book passed away 2 months ago.
I did not know that.
And any money that I make off of the book, because actually Michael Tierney, the owner of those two shops, is literally the only person that I'm aware of in North America that has copies of this book.
Right.
So go and special request The Gecko.
I didn't know that. Was it Patrick Hester? Was that his name?
Nestor.
Nestor. Yeah. Man, I'm sorry. I'm sorry to hear about that. I'm going to go pick up another copy.
Yeah. And any funds that I raise from the sales of those books are going straight to his family.
Wow.
And
that's hard. I didn't know about that. So,
but that's the only place that you can buy. I don't even have copies of him anymore.
Right.
He's the last.
He is the bastion.
The last one who has that. And moving on real quick to something a little more cheerful. Brain Trust with Michael Brown, my game show. You can find it on YouTube, youtube.com/Brain Trust Show. We're on Twitter @Brain Trust Show, facebook.com/Brain Trust Show. It's the YouTube's only live audience rather. Geek-centric pop culture trivia game show where the audience is the winners and the panelists are just a bunch of goofy people. We are going to be doing a couple of shows in January coming up. On January 6th, we're going to be in ShadowCon in West Memphis.
Memphis.
If you're going to ShadowCon, come by, say hi, buy some prize tickets. I know last year's ShadowCon prize bag was the biggest prize bag we ever have given away in the history of the show. We gave away over $800 worth of geek merchandise.
Wow.
Last year to one lucky prize ticket holder at that show.
One lucky prize winner.
Unbelievable. Okay. That guy didn't have room in his car for everything. It was nuts. We're also going to be doing Brain Trust is also going to be at the Innovation Hub on January 13th in North Little Rock. In the Argenta district, we are doing a show in conjunction with CW Arkansas, and we're going to be celebrating the new show that's going to be coming out, which is the Riverdale show. Which is
like a different take on Archie.
It's Dark Archie.
Dark Archie.
It's like, so our show is going to be an Archie show, but the Riverdale show itself is like Archie through the lens of David Lynch.
And like the comic books, I don't know if people, the comic books, there's actually... You've got a
I got a mute button.
You got a mute button there. Yeah. But that's some powerful coughs there, pal.
Yeah.
You don't mess around. I don't
you just put emphasis on the David Lynch
I don't even want to hear one of your sneezes.
Good Lord.
Wow.
Well, I wanted to get it all out.
Yeah, we hope you get to feeling better soon.
Yeah.
But yeah, the art, they've done some really cool stuff with Archie. The comic books, they've done like Archie with zombies and aliens. Yeah. So, all right, moving on to the Troll Lord himself, Steve Chenault. What's going on with Troll Lord Games right now, man?
Well, we've got a lot of cool stuff we're wrapping up. A lot of these Kickstarters you mentioned earlier will start shipping here in the next 4 to 6 weeks. About 4 of them, I think, will close down. But the coolest thing we got going right now is I had a nice long conversation with Jim Ward, and he is taking his Metamorphosis Alpha that he put out in the 70s and converting it to the Siege engine and making a version that will be compatible with everything else we do. Well, what's even really cool about it, even better about it, is he's mapping the entire, 17 levels, 21 levels of the Starship Warden. So we're going to present this whole starship. It's it's always been out there in little bits and pieces, but the whole thing will be out there.
And this, what's the original game again?
A Metamorphosis Alpha. It was the first science fiction RPG put out.
Okay.
They put it out right
even
after
before
Dungeons
Traveler?
Yes, they put it out before Dungeons and Dragons. It's iconic at this point.
It was before?
No, I mean right after Dungeons and Dragons.
Okay.
Right. And
Yeah, that is hardcore.
the kind of cool teaser about it is when they were playtesting it, Gary Gygax teleported one of Jim Ward's favorite characters from Dungeons and Dragons onto the Starship Warden, and the character was lost forever.
Really?
We're going to find that character.
Yeah, we're going to find that. So Gary Gygax did that?
Gary Gygax did that to Jim way back when.
Wow.
So part of this whole project will be finding that character. That'll be one of the adventures. It'll be kind of cool.
All right. Well, I think Mike stepped out, to go ahead and I guess maybe try to take care of that cough or whatever. He'll be back here in a moment. So anything else going on? The Adventurers Backpack do well?
The Adventures Backpack closed down well, and amazingly, our short 3-day Kickstarter on the Darkenfold, it did fantastic.
Yeah.
So we got a lot of projects that we're working on now that will start rolling out in the next coming weeks.
All
So
right. Well, cool. All right. Well, we're going to move on.
lots of Castles and Crusades
Lots
goodness.
and what's the other Amazing Adventures?
Amazing Adventures, we're already looking at an expansion on that guy because it's about sold out of its second printing. And Jason and I are talking about some really cool stuff to do with some sci-fi stuff with that. So that's going to be a lot of fun.
Okay, cool. All right. Well, let's hopefully Mike will join us again here soon. But we're going to go ahead and move on just for time into Star Wars. I know that. Oh, Mike's back. Good.
Back.
Okay. So, Mike, we're going into Star Wars.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. So, I played the theme right at the beginning of the show. If that didn't tingle you up a little bit, I do want to pull your geek card. We were talking about that before the show. So, after all these years, that theme still
I
gets
contend
me.
that I don't know which one, but it's either the Star Wars theme or the Jaws theme that is the most evocative.
Yeah.
You can hear it anywhere. Just about anyone
Right.
can hear it, and they know exactly what it is.
Right.
I don't know
Well,
which
it's
one
the
is
very
more. But
definition of iconic.
Yeah.
Because like an icon is something that represents something else. So a lot of times people use icon, they're like, that's iconic. And it's not the exact definition of the word. I mean, iconic
interesting.
means it literally recommends. Hold on, Steve. What's up, Steve?
I just have a little bit of trivia for you guys.
Yeah,
if you
throw
knew
it in
this.
there.
According to what I found, John Williams, the guy who
Yeah.
wrote that iconic theme
Yeah.
for Star Wars, has never seen a Star Wars movie.
Well, he had
Wow.
to watch scenes to score them, but I guess he's never sat down and watched it as a movie
what I
experience.
Heard. That's what I saw on the internet, and everything on the internet
It
is
is true. I'm going to go verify that.
So-
but they do, if you don't like, they will project scenes from the
Right.
movie and score them. But yeah, he may never have sat down and said, "I'm just going to watch it as
That's
a
what
movie."
I saw.
That's interesting. All
that's
right,
pretty cool.
all right. So moving on. First of all, we have to acknowledge, very sad. I hate that we haven't, but Carrie Fisher.
Yeah.
How many days has it been now? 3 or 4?
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah, and then her
Three.
mom the very
As
next
of
day.
this broadcast.
And then her mom the very next day. So what I want to do with Carrie Fisher is, very sad. I don't even. She's 60, which these days is still relatively young.
Very young.
Yeah.
The older I get, the younger it seems.
Yeah. It's nothing. Yeah. So really sorry she's gone. What I want to do is I want to highlight stuff about Carrie Fisher people may not know. Like they knew that she was Princess Leia, right? Everybody knows that. She was the spunky princess. Like, you call this a rescue? Would it help if I got out and pushed?
Yeah.
All that. Little love triangle with her brother and Han Solo.
Sort of.
Yeah, which nobody didn't know at the time. Great, again, an iconic character, right? Just immediate. It's a lot of what Star Wars was, the feel of it was because of how she played her character,
Yeah.
right? But people didn't know she was a script doctor in Hollywood.
That's
I
absolutely
found
right.
all this stuff out after she died.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, she touched up a lot of scripts in Hollywood. She
Oh, very cool.
She wrote Postcards from the Edge,
Yes.
which became a movie.
Yeah, I remember that.
She was doing a lot of other stuff that didn't necessarily have to do with her role in.
She actually did a great role in When Harry Met Sally.
That's one of my favorite movies of
Absolutely.
all time. And yeah, she does a great job in When Harry Met Sally. So
She was great in A Man with One Red Shoe.
Man with One Red Shoe.
Under
Wasn't
the
that
Rainbow.
that was a
Tom Hanks
Tom
joint.
Hanks movie, yeah,
Yeah.
where they mistake him for a
For a
spy.
spy. Yeah.
Yeah. That's a great movie. I haven't seen it in years.
Yeah.
But yeah.
In fact,
look
I
that
think
one up.
one of her best lines is from When Harry Met Sally, because she's and my wife and I said all the time. We went to that movie when it came out to
Yeah.
theaters years ago.
One of my
It's-
favorites.
It's
Yeah.
very special to her and I. But she says, "I know you're right. You're always right."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Love that line, and my wife and I say it to each other all
Yeah,
the
all
time.
the time. You're always right. She was in the Blues Brothers.
Absolutely.
She was the crazy ex-girlfriend
right.
that
Yeah,
hit him
that's
with
right.
a rocket launcher.
Forgot about that.
Jake's
Yeah.
ex-girlfriend.
But I want to, evidently, and I want to read this. She wrote a couple of books. There was Wishful Drinking
Yeah.
and The Princess Diarist, I think.
Yeah.
Or-
Just came out, I think.
And evidently they're really good.
Yeah.
So I just want to highlight that she did stuff other than just Star Wars.
There will be a documentary
Yeah.
that she and her brother had already made.
Oh, really?
That's going to be coming out in about 6 months on Netflix.
Okay.
About her and her mom.
Okay.
So
and her mom was famous in her own right.
Absolutely.
Singing in the
Her
rain
mother
and
was extremely talented.
Yeah.
This phrase gets tossed around or whatever, but I mean, there's Hollywood royalty.
Yeah, she was Hollywood royalty.
She was Hollywood royalty.
Both
man.
of her parents were
absolutely, absolutely.
Well, she talked about. I read there's a bio linked on the site from CNN. Actually, it was Carrie Fisher, Star Wars Princess Leia dies at 60.
Yeah,
and they talked about how she had a perspective on fame because she saw what fading celebrity did to her parents.
Yeah,
how it they hated losing their celebrity.
It informed her,
of how to handle fame, right?
Yeah.
And of course, she was very honest and frank about her drug use and some other stuff like that.
And her mental disabilities, or whatever. I mean, she tried to destigmatize that as much as possible.
Well, she seemed like a really genuinely cool and interesting person.
Absolutely.
I saw this interview with her right after Force Awakens came out. Where she had her dog in with her, and it was just awesome. It was really funny. Yeah. It wasn't ditzy. She knew how to not be ditzy, but be kind of ditzy, but still not be ditzy. I don't know how to explain it. Really funny interview style.
Good.
She's very frank, she's like, I don't care anymore.
There's something on YouTube somewhere where she banters with Captain Kirk.
Yeah,
it's a lot of fun.
That'd be pretty great.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Well, we're gonna miss her. We'll have even though radio silence in radio is supposed to be a no-no. We'll do a brief moment of silence for Carrie Fisher, but I want to make sure if either of you have anything else you want to say about her, you're welcome to. Before, okay, let's do a brief moment of silence. How about you, Steve? Do you want to say anything about Carrie Fisher or anything?
I just really enjoyed her, especially obviously in Star Wars. But Postcards from the Edge, Meryl Streep played her in the movie. Such a great movie.
Okay,
great movie.
I'm gonna have to watch. I've always heard of it, never seen it. Okay, so we'll do a moment of silence for Carrie Fisher. All right. And that moment of silence was for Carrie Fisher, and as the Larson Toka, I think is how you say it, put it at the beginning of Force Awakens, she's royalty to me.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's
yes.
kinda,
very much so.
Okay, so I want to talk about how well Rogue One has done, and then we're gonna take a break, and when we come back, we're gonna go into what did we think about the movie
specifics.
Yeah. So, all right, so it's done really well.
Yes.
Financially, and it's New Year's Eve. So
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Oh, yeah, it is New Year's Eve.
Yeah, it is.
Here's a tip for our mutual friend Calvin Roach, Michael, brought this to my attention. If you go type Happy New Year into Facebook today, you get fireworks.
Oh, neat.
But it has to be on the desktop version. It doesn't work on the phone version.
Right on.
Yeah,
okay,
so,
cool.
But anyway, that's a once-in-a-year event, New Year's Eve. This is something more important. The first standalone Star Wars movie ever, once in a lifetime. We'll never get another first standalone Star Wars movie. So there was a lot riding on this movie.
Really was.
And even with a lot of creativity and Disney, they could have messed it up, but they didn't. Right? I mean, I haven't heard one person say this is a terrible movie.
I saw somebody say that it was terrible on Facebook.
Did they get stomped? Did they get surrounded and stomped down?
They had. I only saw like 3 comments below,
but it was
their statement. Before I unfollowed and unfriended them.
Wow.
Because
okay, this is serious.
I don't want negative people in my life.
Yeah,
like
you
that.
don't need that kind of negativity. All right, so I went to Box Office Mojo last night, and domestically, as of last night, now this will get updated after this weekend, but before New Year's weekend, it already made $375 million domestically.
Yeah.
And its worldwide total is already $687 million.
Nice.
So it's doing really, really well.
It's made its money back.
Well, yeah, it was a $200 million budget plus merchandise. They was talking about, well, that movie cost $200 million to make, but it only made $100 million. Yeah, but you made money on toys, and they never factor in the merchandising.
There's not a lot of kids' toys that are coming out of this movie, though.
Really?
Well, maybe
I know
action
there's like
figures.
Well, all
for
the
sure.
action figures are.
and the
Action
ships.
figures and the ships and that sort of thing.
But it's
right?
not
But
the merchandising
you're not gonna
juggernaut.
you're going to see.
But they'll be
K2
collectible.
plushie.
Right.
For your newborn.
Well, that you can rip stuffing out of.
Yeah,
as it gets
yeah.
shot.
Right. They'll be collectibles.
There's
There'll
not a
be
lot
all
of
kinds
cute
stuff.
in this
We
movie.
need a plushie K2 that has little blaster holes in it that you can rip stuffing out of.
Yeah, let's do
How's
that.
that?
That's fine.
And then its illuminated eyes will flicker off in death.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's spoilers today, folks. I'm not even going to pretend that there's not. Okay. So they're expecting, of course, that this weekend it'll be number one again. They expect it'll make about $60 million.
Yeah. Well, that's conservative.
Yeah, and they think that it's going to. I'm looking for the projection here. Passengers actually didn't do that great. I think there was more hopes for.
I haven't heard
for
good
passengers.
things about that at all.
But here's what they're saying. They're saying it'll soon become one of the top 15 all-time films domestically, and from there is almost certainly to pass Avengers: Age of Ultron. So that's where they're estimating it right now.
Totally.
Yeah. So it's done well. Now, it with it not being a Luke Skywalker, Princess Leia, continuing that storyline, I think it's done really well.
I think so too.
Right, because it's Star Wars, but it's not. You don't have all the.
You don't have any.
Right.
There's only 3 familiar characters. 4.
Right.
Counting Easter eggs, a half a dozen.
Yeah.
But I mean, as far as the main characters go, we're coming into this brand new. We're introduced to like all these people. We see all these new planets, and there's very little basis of reference besides the fact that we know this is going on.
Besides the fact that it's in the Star Wars galaxy.
Exactly.
That's really the only. I mean, the Death Star was a character that came back.
True.
In fact, we probably got more Death Star in this than we did in Star Wars.
We got more of a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
We haven't gotten into the spoiler section yet, but we got a lot more of a lot of stuff in this movie than we got in the old.
We got a lot of great stuff. Just want to talk about that. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we will go into.
Let's get into it, baby.
What did we think? What did we like? What did we not like? Et cetera. So feel free to get spoilery. So. But, to me, it seems like it's doing really well, and I think it's going to keep going. It's going to have legs. So they did well. They could have tanked it, which would have affected future standalone Star Wars movies. I mean, they still would have made them.
Oh, yeah.
But this will probably give them more money, more this, more that. They've proven that there's, if you do a good Star Wars movie outside of the main storyline, people will go see it. They've proven that without a doubt.
It's the vehicle.
And it's not just... It was amazing the first weekend, and then it dropped 80%. I mean, this is a good movie. It's getting
straight
good
up.
Yeah,
wall to wall. This is a good movie.
Great movie. So, as I like to say it, it's basically a World War II movie in the Star Wars universe, is what it feels like. So, okay, Steve, take us to a break, and when we come back, we're going to talk more Star Wars with Michael Brown and Steve Chenault.
Comic book lovers, visit thewildstars.com today. From the mind of author and comic book industry expert Michael Tierney, it's not just a comic book, it's a comic book novel. The Wild Stars is sci-fi and so much more. Learn the explanations behind UFOs and space gods. This isn't the Twilight Zone. This is the region of the Milky Way galaxy known as the Wild Stars. We guarantee you've never read anything like it. The complete comic book novel took 20 years to tell, with one reviewer noting, the story of the Wild Stars stretches ambitiously across space and time, from small-town murders to the destruction of planets, with every event given multiple layers of meaning. If you haven't read The Wild Stars, you're missing out. Visit thewildstars.com today.
The die is cast.
Plunge into worlds of fantastic adventure where dragons lie and the undead stalk the shades of your mind's imagines. Where creatures of legend plunder wealth through the horror of their passage. Monsters grim and foul hold the ecstasy of gold and the renown of glory. All this and more awaits you and your friends in the unlimited, fantastic world of the Castles and Crusades role-playing game from Trollord Games. Visit your friendly local game store or Trollord.com to get your copy today. A rules-light, adaptable game that has stood the test of time. 12 years in constant publication with no new additions, Castles and Crusades is the original, easy-to-play attribute check system. Join us and unleash your imagination. Visit your friendly local game store or Trollord.com to get your copy of Castles and Crusades today. Shane Plays Radio is blessed to have sponsors, and we appreciate them very much. However, did you know that you can also support the show as an individual for as little as $1 an episode? Simply go to patreon.com/ShanePlays.
There's only two. There's you and this other guy.
Yeah.
And
it hasn't been coming out of my account.
Huh?
Hey, welcome back to Shane. Are we back on the air? Did I? That's the problem for having friends in the studio with you. We just got to just
we
talk.
got to talk.
So welcome back to Shane Plays Geek Talk Radio. Steve's in there like rookie. Look at Steve.
Sorry, man.
Oh man, no, that's fine. It's that's why I like to have friends on, because you just get to jawing. But anyway, we are talking. This is Shane Stacks. Shane Plays Geek Talk Radio. It's New Year's Eve. We're having fun, and we're doing a Star Wars Rogue One. Well, actually, pardon me, Rogue One, a Star Wars story.
There you go.
Deep dive. We talked about how well it's been doing. Been doing extremely well, and now I just want to go into the movie. I think the general consensus was before the break that we liked the movie, but I haven't really heard from you on it yet, Steve. What did you think of the movie?
I really enjoyed the movie, and but what's nice about it, for me, I'm not a huge Star Wars trivia guy. Like Jason Fay, who does a lot of writing for me, he was explaining to me some of the back stuff.
Was he the one that tried to pull your card?
No, that was Tyler. That was Tyler.
Right.
Tyler pulled my card.
For admitting that you liked movies like Aliens and Blade Runner more
over
than,
Star Wars
over
and Star
space
Trek.
Opera.
That was he was mortified.
Yeah.
But Jason was giving me all kind of this background stuff to it, but I don't know any of that. I've never read any of the books or the comic books. I've just watched what are we at, 7 or 8 movies? Or 8? This is the 8,
now,
right?
Yeah.
And I know, and I've watched some of the Clone Wars cartoons, which were really good.
Yeah.
But so just watching the movie for the movie's sake and the story's sake, this was a fantastic film. Absolutely love this movie.
Yeah, I liked it a lot. So
I had one complaint immediately, though.
All right,
they didn't have the Star Wars theme when it started.
Yeah, they evidently they purposefully did a couple of things different. One, they didn't have the crawl.
That's right. They
didn't have the letters blasting at you and then fading.
The theme that we were calling iconic in the first segment.
They removed.
And in fact, I should have played the Rogue One theme before the show started today.
No, you were good.
No one recognizes it yet, right?
Yeah.
So I went ahead and played the main Star Wars theme, which you don't hear in Rogue One until the credits roll. And then you hear the Star Wars theme. But yeah, they purposefully, I've read up a little bit about it, the standalone movies are going to do their own type of, to distinguish themselves from the main storyline. I'd rather have the, but
it's
Star
anyway.
Wars. Yeah, and Michael, I'm going to mess up his name, Giacono, he did the soundtrack. He's done,
it was great.
Yeah, Giacono, he did the Star Trek, the new Star Trek movies and some other stuff.
I thought it was very evocative.
Yeah, he did a very good job with that theme is so iconic.
Yeah, I mean, that's it.
To Star Wars, that was a little jarring. Now, what they did keep was start in space and then pan down to the planet.
Yes.
Every Star Wars movie opens with a shot of space that pans down to or up to a planet.
Yeah.
Every one of them. So they kept that. Now, I'm just going to go ahead and get the one thing I didn't like about the movie out.
Okay.
Just going to get out of the way. Out of the way.
We should all do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I mean, we can do that. Yeah.
Love the movie. Okay, so this is not don't watch this movie. I love the movie. Great movie. Now, I will not rank the movie yet. I see all people already ranking it with all the other Star Wars movies. You guys can feel free to do that if you want.
Yeah, I can rank it.
I'm not ranking it yet because it hasn't stood the test of time. I don't think you can really rank it until you catch it a year later.
That's a valid point, but I can rank it anyway.
I would put it at least midway right now, somewhere in the mid, if you listed out all of them. And I'm almost shocked.
It's not in the bottom 3.
No.
I'll tell you
See,
that.
I put it
right
in the
now.
top 3. I would put it either 2 or 3.
It's good. It's a very good movie.
Yeah.
But see, I love Star Wars, but I like the prequels, and I did too. I put Sith above Jedi. So,
yeah. Jedi's like way.
I love the first 45 minutes of Jedi. Love it. But as soon as they leave Tatooine, I almost
if you take
check out.
Jedi's really 2 movies. It's the Emperor and Luke, and then the teddy bears. And if you take out the Ewoks, you're good.
When it comes back to the end, when Luke is fighting Darth Vader in front of the Emperor,
love
that stuff.
Oh my God!
But they leave Tatooine, and up until that scene, I just mentally check out on Jedi. Yeah. The only thing I like about it is like fly casual, right? So, right. But anyway,
but literally moments before they land on Endor, fly casual. When you hear fly casual, you can just pause it, stop it,
just fast forward to the lightsaber battle.
Yeah,
and I know a lot of people don't feel that way. So,
but what you said, there was something about Rogue One you didn't like.
Here's the thing. Thanks for getting me back on stay on target.
Yeah.
Here's the one thing I didn't like. Okay, because my space opera, I'm totally okay with my space opera being completely black and white morally. Completely.
Absolutely.
It's space opera.
Absolutely.
I go to Star Wars for escapism. I don't like a morally ambiguous rebellion. I didn't like that.
Oh, okay.
I did not.
That's
didn't
fun.
like.
I can see that
you went there.
The scene at the beginning where he shoots his compatriot.
Yeah.
Shoots him in the back.
And then when they're like, "Okay, your real mission is to kill our father," I could have done without that.
Yeah.
And people are like, but Star Wars can be many things, and it's realistic. I don't go to Star Wars for realism.
Yeah.
I want these are the bad guys and these are the good guys. That's my only beef with the whole movie. Everything else, I didn't. A lot of people are like, the first couple of reels were uneven, or there's too much. None of that stuff even bothered me, even though they were all over the place at the beginning of the movie. That's the only thing about the movie that bothered me. Everything else, loved it.
Right on.
So
I get it. I get that.
So what about you, Michael? What did you not like?
All right. Well, first of all, it's not so much I didn't like it, but I'm wondering what the staggering future implications are going to be about this.
Of what?
First of all, I went into the movie having not read anything about it.
I didn't know anything.
All I knew is that they were stealing the Death Star plans. That was all I knew.
We knew the story.
Yeah, that's all I knew going in.
And this is, and I've said this before. I've always said that the movie Titanic was like the Star Wars for chicks.
Right.
Insofar as a lot of ladies really liked Titanic and saw Titanic more than once over and over.
Right.
This was like the Star Wars version of Titanic. We already know how it's going to end.
Right.
Okay. We know how it ends.
Well, I didn't know going in. I thought it might be Dirty Dozen, but I wasn't sure.
I had no idea they were all going to die.
Everybody was going to die.
I was actually surprised.
We said this was going to be a spoiler, so by the way, everybody dies.
Yeah. No, I'm not even playing
I was
around.
surprised they kept killing characters. I got, well, holy crap. And even on the beach scene, I expected some kind of flying something to come in.
They hugged each other and got annihilated.
Yeah. Very Watchmen there.
And, I didn't even really, it was very Watchmen. I didn't catch until the second time I saw it how much they had fallen in love right there at the end.
Yeah.
They fell in love. And
that's kind of a little beautiful moment.
Yeah, it was a little beautiful moment, and then they died like in each other's. I the first time I saw it, I caught they respect each other now and they're warming up, but they were like straight up, like in love, and then got atomized.
Yeah, that's a good time.
Have you seen it yet, Steve?
Last minute, like
okay, I was just thinking, poor Steve, the producer, might be getting spoiled. What did you think?
Oh, I enjoyed it thoroughly. I tell you the one thing that I didn't like, and again, this is so nitpicky and ticky-tack.
You got to nitpick, we're geeks.
But for all the CG that was in it, James Earl Jones's voice sounded old as Darth Vader.
Did
a little bit.
And I
didn't
wish
even
that
notice
they could have done something about that. And I know that's so small.
I didn't even notice
that. I thought, man, Darth Vader was such a bad mammer jammer in this. He was the Darth Vader that we all wanted to see.
Filters,
they could have processed.
I didn't even notice that. Did you notice that, Steve?
I didn't notice that so much.
But sounds like Michael did.
It's there. I being an audiophile, you kind of pick up on stuff like this.
I didn't even notice that.
But here's where I was going before we got off track.
Yeah,
because I didn't even tell you what I didn't like about it. Or not so much I didn't like about it, but what
the ramifications.
What I didn't know was how big of a part that Peter Cushing from the grave was going to have.
Well, I've got a news article linked on the show notes about that, where there was some backlash against Lucasfilm.
Well, I wondered about that.
About that, and then also Carrie Fisher at the very end.
Yeah.
Right.
If you're listening to this and you haven't seen the movie, for some reason, there's spoilers, but what they did, they took Grand Moff Tarkin's in the movie.
A lot.
Straight up Peter Cushing.
Yeah, man.
Not an actor that looks like Peter Cushing.
No.
They digitally recreated him. And then Carrie Fisher appears at the very end as Princess Leia.
Young.
Yeah.
1977.
In fact, she has the last line
Carrie
in the movie.
Fisher. Yes.
Right.
See, that was one of the two things I didn't like about this movie. And I don't want to dwell on them because we want to talk about what's good about it. But I thought the Carrie Fisher part, the CGI didn't look good. And I thought surely they could have found some stock footage of her from way back when and put that in there.
You know, they did do some stock footage of
they
X-Wing
did.
pilots.
And so why couldn't they have found something of Carrie
Well,
Fisher?
I don't know.
Maybe they had it, maybe they didn't have
It
it.
may not have it. It's hard to say.
Well, what they did with, and this is an Easter egg. There's a lot of Easter eggs in this movie. Some of the X-Wing fighter pilots and Y-Wings and all that, they took unused footage from A New Hope and used that of the same actors and the same pilots and all that.
Oh, that's cool.
Red Leader and Gold Leader were the same Red Leader and Gold Leader in episode 4.
Right. But it was footage you didn't see.
Exactly.
They found
and it was
unused
so
footage.
Brilliant
and
that
they
did that.
seamlessly worked it in. Here's something else that I probably wouldn't have caught if I hadn't read a list of I've got a list of Easter eggs here printed out with me. Red 5 gets blown up.
Yeah.
And Jason was telling me that.
Red 5 is Luke's call sign in A New Hope. So that opened up Red 5. Yeah. That's why he was Red 5.
Cool.
When Red 5 ate it, my friend and I who were seeing it, we looked at each other and were like, there's the job opening.
Yeah, they're going to be posting that.
Yeah.
Human Resources is going to be posting that job
Exactly.
opening.
But
did you notice Blue Squadron?
Yes. Blue Squadron wiped out.
Well, here's what happened. Here's why they did Blue Squadron. Okay. In the novelization, Luke's
which George Lucas wrote,
right? Well, with the help of Alan Dean Foster, his name's on it.
Yeah,
Alan Dean Foster kind of ghost wrote it with him. Luke's squadron was Blue Squadron.
Yes.
In the movie, it was Red Squadron. So that was a shout out to the fans of the book.
Yeah,
they put Blue Squadron.
That's kind of cool.
But they all got wiped because they made it through the shield.
That's right,
and they got wiped out.
Yeah. But just cinematically, the staggering implications of being able to resurrect an actor who's been dead.
Pandora's box is open on
for
that one,
20 years.
Oh, they'll get that legally squared up quick.
Well,
you're already seeing.
I mean, they already got permission from the estates and whatnot.
Right. You're going to see actors protect themselves posthumously for this stuff. They're going to do.
Well, they'll also probably start working it into their contract if you want to use.
Right.
And see, they did the same thing with Robert Downey Jr. At the
Civil
beginning
War.
of Civil War.
That's
they showed him much younger. But yeah, I'll tell you, it was done so well that when Peter Cushing shows up,
it took me a second.
I was like, how do they, is that an actor? And then I went and read, and then I paid a lot of attention the second time I saw it.
Yeah.
And if you really look, you can tell.
Yeah.
But if you're not trying to study it, you don't even get it.
It's so good.
Yeah.
Man.
It's really, the Pandora's box is open.
A lot of people have said that's what took them out of it. Was they could immediately tell that it was CG and like,
really? See,
am I
was
watching
like,
a movie or
how'd
am I
they do
watching a
that?
cut scene?
Yeah, I could tell it was CGI, but it didn't take me out of the movie. It didn't bother me at all.
I thought it was fine.
Yeah,
I thought it was fine.
People are arguing the legality and the ethics of it.
Yeah.
Here's my thing. I think what people lose sight of sometimes is Hollywood is an entertainment product.
Yeah.
And if the actor, because these days you don't even say actress anymore, right? You just say actor for everybody.
Yeah, it's actor for everybody.
If the performer is legally okay with their what's the likeness being used that way, I don't care. Now, if they do it against their wishes, or if they do it in a way that's obviously against the spirit that actor would want it used, which, I don't know. There could be some times where it's used where I'm like, okay, that was wrong. But as it's an entertainment product.
Right.
These are actors. They get paid to do whatever.
It's all intellectual property.
Yeah.
All those
but they have to sign. That's part of their contract in the first place, or they wouldn't be able to make action figures. That look like that.
Here's how soon do you think it's going to be? And then we'll cut to a break. How long do you think it's going to be before an actor or an actress or whatever gets fired and then they use the CGI to keep going and finish it.
Yeah,
How long? When do you think
that'll
that's
be
gonna
legal.
happen?
I don't know about that, man.
Real quick, though, let me tell you the other thing I didn't like about it. And everyone's going to hate me for this. I didn't like the Kung Fu guy.
I loved him.
Didn't like him at all.
I loved him. He was like one of my favorite characters.
Me too.
I
Didn't
loved
like
Donnie.
him.
You didn't like Donnie?
Donnie.
Then?
Didn't like him.
What didn't you like about him?
Well, it's that same old kind of. He stands up and he waves his staff.
Yeah.
And 14 stormtroopers fall over.
Well, he's
and then
using the Force.
Yeah,
I mean, he's not a Jedi.
Yeah,
He
but
thinks he's
Darth
using the
Vader
Force. No, he's
never
using
even
the
knocked
Force.
14.
Oh, you think he is?
Yeah, he's using
See,
the
I didn't
Force.
think he had the Force at all.
See, I
but
didn't think he had
Darth
it.
Vader never knocked over 14 people with the Force. So,
Nah.
Well, here's the thing. There are Force users other than Jedi in Star Wars.
right.
That's true.
And these guys, that brings up another.
But keep in mind,
Easter egg.
as a viewer, I don't know any of that.
Right, true.
So I'm just
Yeah.
watching, and this guy stands up and he waves his staff, and a bunch
Yeah.
of stormtroopers fall
Well,
over.
no, because he's
I was
like,
eh.
remember, like later in the ship, he's like, how did he look? And they're like, oh, he looked fine. He's like, well, the Force moves strangely around people who are about to kill people.
Yet every
Yeah.
other part of his part in the movie was great,
But
other than
just
the
that-
combat scene in
So
the
that-
street. It just knocked me. That was a cool combat scene until he stood up and started
So your
killing
willing
everybody.
suspension of disbelief
Was
got popped.
gone.
Okay.
I do like the idea of a Force monk, though,
Yeah,
which
well,
is what I thought he kind of was.
It's been established in Star Wars that there are people that use the Force other than the Jedi didn't invent the Force.
Right.
They just refined a way of using
Harnessing
it, right?
it.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I think that was kind of what they were implying. And I loved when they put the bag over his head. He's like, "Are you kidding? I'm
That was
blind."
funny. Yeah, that was good.
That was good. There were some laugh
the
moments in
actor
this
did
movie.
a great job.
Yeah. Well, that's another.
Man of
that's
Tai Chi, man, or Ip Man. He was Ip Man.
Was he Ip Man?
He was
Okay,
Ip
I
Man.
thought
Oh,
it
man, holy Christmas!
Yeah,
I didn't make that
That's
connection.
one of the
Okay.
things I was like, man, isn't it cool that that Donnie Yen movie made $60 million last
I love
weekend?
Ip Man. I've seen like the first two. I really enjoy Ip Man. But so anyway, here's another Easter egg. The guys, the martial arts guy and his buddy with the big gun.
Yeah.
They were Guardians of the Whills, WHILLS.
You know about this.
Which back in the day, like way back in the day,
Way back.
the Whills is evidently like a history of the galaxy that's like a holy book. And the very first story title for Star Wars ever was called The Adventures of Luke Starkiller, as taken from the Journal of the Whills.
Oh,
And
very
it's
cool.
Whills, WHILLS.
So the Whills is almost like a Bible or a holy thing in the Star Wars universe.
They pulled some nuggets
Deep
like that,
stuff.
deep cuts from the lore of the universe of Star Wars.
Big time.
And it's the first time we ever got. It's the first time it's been uttered on screen. It's the first time we got to see when we were in Chenault. You get to see that fallen Jedi.
See, and that actually plays into the movie's strengths, because that's a huge bit of trivia that only people that are really immersed in Star Wars are going to know.
Yeah.
But they didn't throw that onto the screen. I didn't even notice it.
You just had to kind of.
No, I just assumed they were two holy monks in this city, and I'm fine with that. I don't need any explanation. Yeah, it works on a lot of levels.
Exactly. I mean, that's how it should be.
Yes.
Because if they'd spent 20 minutes of screen time explaining that to me, I'd have been like, all right, got it.
Got it.
Yeah.
Well, no, these guys, in fact, those two characters had just basically lost their job because the Empire came in,
took the crystals,
and took over the temple. That was an old Jedi temple, and they were guardians of that temple, and they basically got fired. And so the Empire is basically stealing all of the crystals to power the Death Star.
They took their jobs.
Yeah. All right. Anyway, we're gonna take a break. When we come back, we'll talk as much as we can. Radio always goes so quick. Anyway, go ahead and take us to a break, Steve. And when we come back, we'll talk more about Star Wars Rogue One, first standalone movie.
Comic book lovers, visit thewildstars.com today. From the mind of author and comic book industry expert Michael Tierney, it's not just a comic book, it's a comic book novel. The Wild Stars is sci-fi and so much more. Learn the explanations behind UFOs and space gods. This isn't the Twilight Zone. This is the region of the Milky Way galaxy known as the Wild Stars. We guarantee you've never read anything like it. The complete comic book novel took 20 years to tell, with one reviewer noting, the story of the Wild Stars stretches ambitiously across space and time, from small-town murders to the destruction of planets, with every event given multiple layers of meaning. If you haven't read The Wild Stars, you're missing out. Visit thewildstars.com today.
The die is cast.
Plunge into worlds of fantastic adventure where dragons lie and the undead stalk the shades of your mind's imagines. Where creatures of legend plunder wealth through the horror of their passage. Monsters grim and foul hold the ecstasy of gold and the renown of glory. All this and more awaits you and your friends in the unlimited, fantastic world of the Castles and Crusades role-playing game from Trollord Games. Visit your friendly local game store or Trollord.com to get your copy today. A rules-light, adaptable game that has stood the test of time. 12 years in constant publication with no new additions. Castles and Crusades is the original, easy-to-play attribute check system. Join us and unleash your imagination. Visit your friendly local game store or Trollord.com to get your copy of Castles and Crusades today. Shane Plays Radio is blessed to have sponsors, and we appreciate them very much. However, did you know that you can also support the show as an individual for as little as $1 an episode? Simply go to patreon.com/Shane Plays.
All right, made it back from the break on time this time. Woo. So I want to mention, don't forget, people, get on over to Game Goblins, show sponsor Game Goblins. We appreciate them very much. Some goblins are your friends. They're over there at Bowman and Canis, and today they're doing the used board game swap. So you can either sell your games on consignment or pick up some games at a good price. Super friendly guys over there, guys and gals. Plenty of play space for all the events they have. They also have a customer rewards program that rewards you a percentage based on what you've been spending. So not just you've been here 5 times, you get $10 off or whatever. It's a percentage of what you've been spending. And then also, if you're a first-time customer, mention Shane Plays, and you'll get $10 off your purchase of $50 or more. Go to GameGoblins.com and check them out. So got a few minutes left here. Got about 5 minutes left. Man,
Okay.
radio goes so quick.
Wow.
Yeah, for Star Wars. Okay, so Rogue One, amazing movie. Basically a World War II movie. The battle scenes were probably above and beyond anything that's been in any other Star Wars
the fleet
movie.
battle scene was just, at the end, was just fantastic. And
The
Darth
last-
Vader walking out onto that plane was through the roof. Absolutely through the roof.
Darth
I
Vader.
could literally spend the last 5
We
minutes
can't
talking
not
about that
talk about the
Vader scene.
Well, I want to talk about the thing. It is Dirty Dozen.
Yeah.
Everybody dies.
Yeah.
Story-wise, they probably did that to explain how come you never see any of these other characters in the other movies.
Yeah.
There's a ton of Easter eggs, including there's blue milk at the beginning of the
That's
movie.
right.
I missed it the first time. I caught it the second time. And there's a ton of Easter eggs.
Yeah.
It's not an Easter egg, but something I noticed just as a geek trivia. K2SO is the first person to die. Okay?
Okay.
Who is voiced by Alan
Tudyk.
who was Wash from
Firefly.
Who died in Serenity.
Yes.
Him.
Yeah.
And Josh Whedon said he did that purposefully to make it like this may be a Dirty Dozen ending.
Yeah.
And if Wash can die, anybody can die. So I just saw that connection there, that the first character to die in Rogue One was basically Alan Tudyk.
Yeah.
It's just a connection I noticed. But yeah, Darth Vader. Oh my goodness. That was probably the most amazing Darth Vader scene we've had in
probably since New Hope's first opening scene when he walks through that door.
I didn't know. I heard like they're in the dark hallway or the corridor.
Yeah.
And then you hear
Yeah.
and then the lights.
fantastic.
I'm like, whoa.
Oh, dude.
He slaughters them.
And that
It's
last
so good.
scene too, where he's standing on that kind of broken away part of the ship,
Yeah.
and he's looking out,
And he's like, "Ugh."
as the other ship
Yeah.
flies away.
I want that ship.
But that puts
fantastic.
all right.
It connects. It's such a smooth setup.
It's
for New
such
Hope.
a smooth setup for New Hope. It's unbelievable. The fact that first of all, he knows they have the plans.
Yeah, I know. This isn't a diplomatic ship.
No,
I know you got
that's
the
what
plans.
I'm saying. It completely changes the context of the first 15 minutes
Right.
of a movie
I
that came
saw
out in
you fly
1977.
off. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah. No, the setup and the connection to A New Hope is incredibly smooth. Now,
Brilliant.
you could read it one of two ways. Either he followed and they immediately got into a fight over Tatooine, or there were some side adventures before they caught up.
Oh.
So they could write it either way, but it works perfectly as He caught up to him 10 minutes later.
It's seamless.
Yeah, it's incredibly seamless.
And the fact it's like he knows they're on board.
Yeah.
That's what the whole point of the whole first movie. Like we knew something happened.
Yeah.
We didn't know there was a giant space battle where a good chunk of this of the rebellion died
Got
to get
blown
this
away
one
to
piece
these
of
one
information.
Yeah.
Out there.
Doesn't Leia somewhere in those movies say a lot of people died for these plans, or a lot?
Well, there's from Jedi they say a lot of Bothan spies died. I don't know what but the crawl at the beginning of New Hope, I think it does say following
somewhere
a battle.
that's rolling around in my head.
Yeah.
I don't.
There is the crawl at the beginning. It does say following a battle.
Up. The crawl matches
seamless.
Up. It's unbelievable.
There's no we're going to change the canon because it's storytelling.
Exactly.
It's seamless. Totally. And in fact, Michael was telling me, I guess it got pulled down almost immediately by Disney because Disney don't play. But somebody did a bootleg.
Spliced them.
And spliced them.
and it was
so
seamless.
Good.
Oh, I went home after I watched the movie the other night, and I went home and watched A New Hope first, just to see, and it was. It is.
I've heard a lot of people say it gives A New Hope more weight. It does. It totally gives it more weight.
Because we thought that the New Hope all along was Luke.
Right.
And it's not. It's the Death Star plans. A New Hope
she's like
is the Death Star plans.
Yeah, she's
now.
like
it changes the entire context
I hadn't even
of
thought
the whole
first movie.
Yeah, I hadn't thought of it that way. That's an interesting way to look at it.
Yeah, I hadn't thought of that. But yeah, she's like, and dude, the second time I saw the movie, the first time I was just everything's so brand new and
Yeah.
I was just the second time I saw it when the Tantive 4, which some people call the Rebel Blockade Runner, drops and hits the engine, dude, I was getting chills.
Goosebumps, dude.
Yeah.
Because you know.
Yeah. I actually was like under my breath going, go, 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 go. It just, man.
Yeah.
I want to go see it again now.
Oh, it's
just
fantastic
for that scene, because she goes Hope, and they just drop and blast engines and take off.
So good.
So sweet. All right, guys, we got about a minute left. I'm going to shut up. Y'all give me your, hey, Steve, can you take the music down just a little bit? Is it not letting you? Okay. Mike, you guys take us out. What?
At Brain Trust Show on Twitter, head at youtube.com/Brain Trust Show, patreon.com/Brain Trust Show. Give us some money. And we're coming to a town near you or a convention near you in 2017.
All right, cool. How about you? Any final thought on Rogue One?
Go see it.
If you haven't already.
In the theaters now.
All right. What about you, Steve?
Fantastic movie. You don't have to watch any other Star Wars movies to go and watch and love this movie. It doesn't matter your age, any of it. It's a good movie. It's hands down.
They could have phoned it in because it was Star Wars, but they didn't.
They did.
They gave us a great movie. It's basically a World War II movie in Star Wars.
They put the war in Star Wars.
Yeah, they put the war in Star Wars. I mean, they showed...
Yeah, it's a good way to put it. Very good.
They showed the gritty, where the rubber meets the road of what the rebellion... Because the rebellion, they have that scene in the rebellion almost gives up when they find out about the Death Star.
Oh, yeah.
They're going to disband and go home.
Fantastic movie. All right, everybody, have a great week. Happy New Year.
I'm a leaf on the wind. Watch how I go.
Shane Plays Radio is blessed to have sponsors, and we appreciate them very much. However, did you know that you can also support the show as an individual for as little as $1 an episode? Simply go to patreon.com/ShanePlays.